Hello, hello. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unfiltered, an ally of the homeless. I am Cy Hansen, introducing the host of the show, Amber Hansen. Thank you and welcome. Welcome, Amber Hansen, to the show. Your show.
Thanks, I.
So I got to ask you, ally, who is ally?
So, ally, like really from the beginning, ally means friendship. So, ally is based off of the Native American language for um, friendship and getting everything that a friend needs to be. Um, uh, I'm getting echo. Sorry, Sai. This ain't working. Oh,
No,
God. Terrible.
we can hear
I
you
hear
fine.
myself.
Okay. Yeah, you're supposed to hear
Am
yourself.
I in my computer?
You're supposed to hear yourself. But okay, that's fine. Keep talking. Just keep talking. You're supposed
Okay.
to hear yourself. Yeah.
It's echo. It's
No,
echoing.
you're
Oh, I'm
supposed to
probably.
hear your own voice. I
I
don't know
am.
why it works that way, but yeah, you want to hear your own voice. That's a good thing in the podcast world. Don't worry about it. It's not an echo. It's okay.
Okay.
Okay, continue, please. What is ally? Who is ally?
But that's where our name came from. And we um, based Ally out of, uh, that's hard to
Just take
say.
one ear off.
Uh,
There. That way you can still hear me.
oh,
Keep going. You're doing great.
yeah, yeah. I do public speaking well. Ally is founded out of the basis of resolving homelessness in Dakota County. And so when you ask what is ally, it means, we are in the most basic form. Let's get folks in Dakota County out of homelessness.
Right.
So there's a lot that is involved in that. And um, 10 years ago, you start from scratch, and it literally means helping those from the street, from treatment, from wherever their folks are at that need housing stability, and getting them straight into housing for long-term success. And that is exactly what Ally is about, um, in serving people. As a team, Ally serves people, and no one person can do that work.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, so in serving people, we're doing that work as a team, and there's so much more to that question.
I so on top of that question, I have another question that I was going to ask. But what are the struggles that you go through trying to achieve those goals, as far as getting people housing, getting people through these programs that you want to? I mean, I know that that's a question that can go on, but what are those struggles that you like?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. What are the struggles? Um, I'd say a lot of the struggles are related to rent affordability, um,
Housing is
uh,
huge,
housing
and
issues,
and then if
rent.
it's cheap, it's I'm sorry, it's dilapidated.
Not
I
always.
mean, not always, but I'm just anyways.
But here's the thing. I mean, when you think about that, I mean, I could live uh, if I got shelter over my head and heat and a means to live, who am I to be picky about certain things? So other people's opinions about dilapidated or whatever, you know what? I have a lot of opinions on that. So that's a whole nother conversation. So Um,
That's another topic.
yeah, it is actually because expectations are extraordinarily high. And you know what? Where we live, I've traveled the world.
Mm-hmm.
And where we live, our expectations on housing are about the highest that any place that I've ever been. So, um, you know, you got shelter from the wind and the rain and the weather. I think that you have food and you got resources that we're on our way. So, you know what? There's a lot to be said for that comparatively. But
Before I get to another question that I have that is, I think, not as relevant as the one I'm going to ask, is the reason why we've been talking about doing this. The question I'm going to ask is why you wanted to do the podcast. We'll save that one for a second. Why we wanted to do this today, is because here where we live, we've had inclement weather. It's been terrible. It's been absolutely just, if you're outside and you're homeless, I mean, I can only so. Can you speak to that a little bit as to what the homeless are dealing with on a night to night, with our weather?
like on a night like tonight, it's extraordinary. It's wet, it's cold, it's deadly. In Minnesota here, we neither one of us would want to be outside tonight.
No, not at all.
And it's once you get wet, you can't get warm. So it's, do you have a means to dry your socks, your pants, your blankets, and if you can't, you are losing limbs or digits. This is the exact weather that's probably most deadly than most Minnesota weather that we typically experience, even though we've had this mild Minnesota winter. This is the exact weather that's probably most deadly and less thought of than people realize. And I personally believe that anybody thinking about being outside tonight on March 26th, nobody wants to be outside tonight sleeping or trying to survive. So I know a lot of people outside tonight that didn't get shelter, and um, we helped a lot of people try to stay warm. And tonight is with rain, sleet, snow, ice, slush. It is probably the worst conditions for human survival, worse than 10 below.
It's icy, slush. Everything is wet. Everything is miserable. You can't find a dry place. It's freezing cold and wet. It's terrible. I mean, unless you have survival skills, to survive in these. I mean, in some of these, some of these folks, develop these skills, but you just can't survive out there. You just can't, and they shouldn't have to. And so that brings me to the next question: is why are we doing this podcast? Why are you doing this podcast, Amber?
Well, my brother, I'm doing this podcast. I'm doing this podcast because it's nights like tonight and many other nights um, that I wish for change. I wish for change, and the only way we can make change is by speaking what we're experiencing in our world, especially on the homeless front. Um, and so, with that, I'm not only a homeless outreach worker. Um, sign I didn't cover, but I'm uh, the founder and director of homeless outreach and outreach shelter housing services at Ally. Uh, there's a lot, man, that we see, and something needs to change. on a bigger level.
And we need to try to reach people. And it just so happens your brother knows how to, how to navigate these waters of social media a little bit. And we're gonna try to reach as many people as possible and try to make a change and try to change the this perception of what the homeless community really is, and we're gonna dive into all of that because, and we're gonna go boots on the ground as you have been for over 20 years. What is it, 25 years in this type of work, and um, it's amazing. It's incredible, and you kind of already touched on what kind of impact you want to make, but what is the impact? I spoke a little bit. Hey, we're trying to reach people, but we're not just trying to reach people. We're trying to reach people on a higher government level. We want to talk about the impact that you want to make going forward with our movement here that we're doing.
Sure, because I think that the most important thing to know is what we do on boots on the ground every day um, impacts the reality that happens on Capitol Hill, and um, that individual stories are told, and we'll do that here in this podcast.
Yep.
We'll tell some individual stories, but we'll also tell stories on how decisions that are made on Capitol Hill impact my work every day, and
Mm-hmm.
on homeless outreach, shelter, and sheltering the long-term homeless. So moving forward, I think that um, you know it's unfiltered for a reason, and I've had a lot of politicians right along with me throughout the years. They know I'm unfiltered, and I'm going to tell stories as it is. It's going to be like, this is real life, but
Right.
um, I need things to happen on a bigger level to help me do my job um, in serving people outside. And I'm not going to sugarcoat things and flowers and roses, and it's not that way. And um, there's a lot of tough days, and um, uh, we'll
So
we'll talk about that.
this is a long question, but like, and I'm going to ask you now, what additional resources are you lacking that you vitally need, even if it's the basic that the government could be providing? I know
Really
that's a
say
long
so.
list. I know it's a long list,
No,
but
I have that mentally prepared, but you didn't prepare me for that. But
okay.
I'm well prepared for that,
This is
which
what
is
I
interesting.
I'm,
Um, uh, what I always rave on is mobile healthcare for the homeless. Um,
yeah,
Healthcare for the homeless.
that's
So
simple, basic.
you think so, but healthcare for the homeless, if you want society to be better, you want the homeless to be better, we have to take care of them mobily. Healthcare for the homeless is essential. We don't have that here where I work, anyway, in Dakota County, Minnesota. We don't have that. We do have it in neighboring county, big city, Ramsey County, but we don't have it. And then you will never hear me talk enough about, like, oh my God, chemical health, mobile
Right.
services, mobile services for chemical dependency and chemical health. I need mobile services because many of the people I work with are struggling with chemical dependency. And at some point in our podcast site, we'll talk about stages of change. But when there's a certain level of change that occurs, I need ready access to help and treatment, and we don't have that. We don't even have ready access to detox. So that's medical necessity. So we don't even have that. Um, we're lacking so much in chemical health and medical health, but um,
Why? Okay, another question. Why do you think that is? Why is this like? What is the neglect with? We could, and we'll dive into every subject. But, but why? What's the
why?
neglect of this? Maybe we'll just shelf this question.
Oh,
What is the
okay. No, no,
neglect?
no, no.
Why?
Let's not shelf it. Let me go
All
like
right, all
top
right.
of the.
Yes, please.
What do I think right away? Um, if you have like, what do I think? Money. I'm going to think about what it costs to do
Because
the work.
yeah,
Yeah, but we don't get paid much to do the work, so I'm going to think about what it costs for the Minnesota Department of Health or whatever to. Oh my God, the process, the bureaucracy, and what all of that goes behind writing um, uh, all of this to get us the money and services we need. So it's like bureaucracy. It's 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 not so much. There will be a little bit of cost involved, but everybody in the world knows social workers don't make that much. So it's got to be this bureaucracy. And why is it not taking priority? Come on now, we're not big business or big pharma. We're trying to beat it. So mm,
well, that's yeah. I guess you're going against. It's no money going against billions of dollars worth of. Well, these people aren't gonna pay for our healthcare medications, so why should we? That's hey, we're probably gonna get you're gonna Men in Black at our doors after this. But like seriously though, if that's the reason why, like, who's paying for these people's meds? The government is. Well, you know, and they just get blacklisted. Nope, you don't get anything. It's messed up and it's twisted, and we need to bring this to light, and that's going to be one of many things that we are going to bring to light here.
exactly though, because that's a lot to talk about because it's actually
Right.
cheaper. When you said paying for the meds, that's like a whole nother podcast on my end because in the front end it's cheaper. It is so much
To have people
cheaper
medicated and
to treat
getting help.
people
Oh,
effectively than to pay for like long-term illnesses or housing crisis. It is much more effective. Now you have to have excellent service providers.
it's true.
Um, so that goes to our medical field and our housing field. And I'm not saying one's bad or like any is bad, but come on, we have a standard, and it's something I want to set here. Is a standard. There is a standard of service that is unwritten, like morals and values and ethics. There is a standard.
And that goes to, people need to be paid accordingly. You need to hire good people, good workers. You got to treat them well, to treat the people who they're treating, to treat them well. And I feel like every person has a purpose and can do some good on this earth. All these folks that are just kind of lost and don't know what to do, they need help, they need guidance, and maybe they need just a little bit of purpose. Like we're doing on our right here. We're serving our purpose. And it feels good to have a cause, and you know and be a voice for people who need a voice. And if we could get those people feeling the same way that we do, hopefully we can keep this wheel rolling forward to the future where, hey, as a thing we're going to talk about, stigma isn't such a thing anymore. And we're more of like, hey, let's help out our humans. Like, hey, it's like the weak ones in the pack. What are we going to do? Are we going to leave them behind, or are we going to help them out? That's how I look. I wanted to circle back to asking you again, just to remind everybody what Allies Services.
Have you been in therapy? Because circle back is my like least favorite term of all time. We don't use that at Ally.
No, I've
Oh
never.
my God.
I've never.
Vomit. Circle back. If I hear that
Hey,
one more fucking time, that's why it's unfiltered. Ugh. Circle back. You want to circle
don't
back to me?
don't ever do the vomit thing on podcast again. That's a big no. People don't like that. Stop
We don't do that.
No, stop it.
You edit
Circle
me
back. I
out.
mean, I'm just saying. I'm looking at my. I got notes here. Sorry.
No, don't do circle back. That's
Well,
we
I
don't
didn't
do
know
that.
that was a. I didn't know that was a thing. How was circle back a
Oh,
thing?
good God.
We want to circle back. I didn't
No.
know. I didn't know. Sorry, I thought I was navigating these. I thought I was swimming pretty well, and then I was just like paddling on back to a question that I. You should have just ignored. You
I
should have.
tried. I tried. I said, no, I can't, because if you do it again in future podcasts, I won't be
That's
able to
fine. Yeah,
handle
no,
it.
that's a good thing. A good thing to know.
We don't circle back. Oh, God, don't get me started.
Hey, some people might feel that. You know, this is unfiltered, so hey,
Hmm.
thank you.
That's what I'm saying.
Good to
Don't get
know.
me started on circle
We're
back.
doing. Hey, like well, this is our first time. Like we've never ever actually done this ever before together, and I think it's gone really well. But anyways, if we could swim back around,
Revisit. It's revisit.
revisit. If we could revisit, but no, just kidding. What are Allies services? What do you provide? What does Ally provide? So we can let everybody know, and we can have all the links to all your services down
So, Ally provides housing support services, not to be confused as housing stabilization. Um, for the long term homeless, it's scattered site housing support, which means folks get a lease with a landlord in the community and services in the most basic form. Uh,
there.
get people housed and everything it takes to stay housed and not um, return back to homelessness.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most basic answer. And then we have homeless street outreach for Dakota County. And that literally means serving anybody that is outside homeless in Dakota County, getting them connected with the resources, basic survival needs, benefits, housing resources, and following up at the journey to housing. And then we also have right now emergency shelter. So Dakota County doesn't have a formal shelter. Right now we're operating out of hotels, and then our model is scattered site. So it's scattered throughout the county. So, Cy, when you ask me, where are you? I'm going to tell you I'm not, it's scattered throughout the county.
Right.
We really respect that the hotel operations and individuals, and we don't announce where people are at, but we shelter people. So that's what I want the community to know is we're sheltering people, but we are not at one specific hotel, but that's what we are utilizing.
So, what's the difference between housing support and sustainability? What's the difference?
Stabilization. Oh, good
Stabilization.
gosh.
If
Um,
you, it's just
there's we're gonna do a podcast on this, so the whole thing.
okay. You mean like show?
But in the shortest form, um, housing stabilization services is a brand new. We're kind of in like prototype mode of medically funding homeless support um, housing services. It's a prototype, and it's in again
Okay.
like it, you know, in my opinion, we're massively failing. But that again, that's another podcast. But
Yeah.
the
Okay.
difference that is medically funded.
I understand.
The housing support that LA provides, and has been for the past 10 and a half years, is
Mm-hmm.
a state funded, uh, it, formerly known as GRH housing, and it's very basic on getting people housed and what does it take to get them housed, and that is all person centered. So I think that we should talk more about that in detail,
Mm-hmm.
everything we do, because it's kind of like I relate it to what I call an ACT team of housing. But if I say that in this podcast without uh, further information, nobody's going to know what we're talking about.
Right. Yeah, no, we can definitely. Yeah, I asked the question because I didn't know, and that's what I do. I ask questions, and we got a lot of good information so far as who Ally is, what you're doing, what we want out of this podcast, and I think it's going to be incredible. There's so much information that we have to go through, and I have so many questions, and I'm also eager to help you out as far as getting those my own boots on the ground, and getting out there and serving the community and kind of one thing that I still want to bring up that we're going to talk about is beating the stigma of homelessness, and that's something that kind of draws me into this personally. So that's why I want to speak to it. Is you know you just can't judge a person based on their situation and where they're at. You know.
No, the stories I've heard throughout the years are incredible. How people ended up in their homeless situations. So, um, I hope that we get to talk about some of those stories. Um, Everyone is unique, but there are some incredible ones out there. And I think that any of our stories could touch any heart of any listener side. So I think that um, we'll talk about some nitty gritties, but talking about some of the stuff I see every day um, will help folks understand and, um, you know, offer a way to ask some questions. And that's also, why I want to be here is uh, I would love for this to be an outlet to answer questions. And what do we do? I get it all the time. How do we handle this situation? What do we do? Um, so,
Mm-hmm.
community, here we are. I mean, I put
Yeah.
myself out there, and here we are.
Here we are. We're asking for everybody's help.
Sai
It
says
is.
I don't look good. I mean, I didn't dress up for the event.
Nah, I just said you look the part. That's all I said. Um,
You just said, let's do this. Okay.
the, so we have. They
I
want to see
really,
it looking. If they want to see it looking a little bit better, here we can.
better?
This is the page of the Ally page that we'll share in the bio here, but also our team right here, also looking the part. Miss Amber Hanson, just looking at right there, services director. Very, very proud. You deserve and congratulations. Fantastic. So everybody will have all the links for everything and all the stuff. We're on Facebook right now. We'll be on Spotify, the Unfiltered Podcast, an ally for the homeless is the title. Check that out. Look it up. Um, and also, please, we want everyone to support Ally supportive services in any form that we can. We can you go ahead and tell them how they can support in form of donations?
For donations. Uh, for the folks that we serve, LA always needs uh, gas cards and restaurant cards. But I give me an opportunity to elaborate because here's the deal. In the Minnesota weather here, um, gas cards cannot offer an opportunity for folks to not only get somewhere, uh, whether it's to shelter, family's house, friend's house,
Right.
but it could run their car to stay warm in the winter and cool in the summer. So you're giving more than you know.
Yep.
And then a restaurant card uh, is not only offering food, a restaurant card can offer means to um, food, but then access to internet to call us housing providers,
Get out of the
um,
cold.
and a warm environment out of the cold, out of the heat for a moment. And so those things, and you're not giving cash. So it's giving with meaning and purpose. And that's what I encourage. And my team gives those directly to the homeless and with those intentions. So instead of giving cash on the side of the road, there's intention and then follow up by my team. So that is my best way to get, like, suggest a way to give right up front to homeless street outreach.
So then the folks can reach out to Allies Supportive Services and either donate their gift cards, gas cards, food cards right to you. Then you distribute them yourselves. Correct?
Right. Yep. A lot of times, community members will meet us either at my ally office in West St. Paul, or we'll meet them in their local community throughout Dakota
Mm-hmm.
County and pick them up. Since we're always out and about, it's pretty flexible to
That's
meet community. I
hey,
mean, we're out
hey,
there.
that's I mean that's about as good as it can get. I mean you're hands on. You're right there. You're knowing where it's going. You know these people, and you know, hey, they're going through their thing, but you know, hey, they need a hot meal, they need gas for their car, they need to get to their relative's house, like you said. You can help them, hopefully with help from our community, and support some of these people. Hey, who else is doing it but us? It's like a tribe, you know. You know, we come, we have Native American background, so like we have a little bit of a tribe mentality, maybe, like, hey, gotta take care of our, ones in the back.
I was going to say
Some of
we
these
have to
guys.
take care of each other. That is what
Yeah.
we do. We have to take care of each other, even the ones that aren't well. So when we're not well, and that does mean in many forms, we have to take care of each other. So this is the best way that I think I found successful in helping um, our folks outside.
It's been amazing, and you've definitely impacted an insurmountable amount of people, and we're trying to up that number and impact the lives of anyone and everyone we can, and try to help them live their best life, because it's our responsibility, right? You know, we're responsible for it.
It is sad, but not everybody looks at it that way.
Hopefully, we can change some minds and open up some minds to a different thinking, and that's what we're trying to do here. And we're going to definitely expose some things. We definitely have a ton of topics to talk about, and I think this
We
was,
do.
yeah, I think this was fantastic here tonight for opening show. And anything else you'd like to say in closing?
In closing, thank you, Sai. I've been planning on this for a long time. Anybody watching this that would have seen any of my other speaking engagements, Sai, I really do look about the same. I mean, maybe not the coat, but I literally just came in.
Hey,
Right?
it,
It's
it's a
winter outside right now.
it is
Um,
nasty out here. Out here, I'm in Wisconsin,
I'd
here right
say
across the river.
always have closing statements, and
Yeah.
my closing statement would be, um, go ahead and think about the questions and how you can um, take anything and uh, how you can make a difference. How can you, if it matters to you, and if it doesn't, that's why I say F it. If it doesn't matter to you, I don't think you'd be listening to this any further. But if it does, what can you do? And if you need more information, watch more, ask questions, um, because we got a lot more to talk about and we got a lot more to say. This was so short and introductory, um, and things are ever changing. So, yeah, in closing, I would say contact with questions, and we do have an agenda, but we will do our best to answer a lot of just questions um, on the fly.
as best we can. And that's why I was thinking the same thing. I was like, today we're doing this on the fly with the weather because don't forget, people, when we're recording this, remember the slushy March weather of Minnesota, Wisconsin. Remember this. Think about it. When you were out there trying to schlub, and so we definitely want everyone to support. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, first of all, I talked about this on my own podcast, The Misunderstood Show. Don't forget to check that out, everyone. But what you can do is $5 can buy someone a hot meal or a cold drink or whatever they need. $5. If you can donate $5 on a Burger King card or a McDonald's card, anything, gas card, it just takes that little bit to make the biggest difference in somebody's day. $5. Or what do we waste $5 these days? Just
Oh my God, a Starbucks is more.
I'm just saying. Don't get me started on Starbucks.
No, I never see that in my hand.
No,
Never.
but all right, fantastic. Well, this has been Unfiltered, an ally for the homeless. Amber Hanson, the fantastic. We appreciate you. Everything you have done and everything you are doing and everything you are going to do and accomplish is about to be seen by the world. This has been Unfiltered.